Christie, would you like to do roll?
Yes. Keith Moyer.
Here.
Jim Schlichting.
Here.
Jeff Jennings.
Here.
Randy McLean.
Here.
Jason Brown.
Here.
Terry Honeycutt. Here. And Jamie Hackley.
Here.
We have a quorum. Everybody stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you, Jim. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor? That's everyone. Consent agenda.
Hey, we could do community recognition of Ruth Ann Hefner, will be a Citizen of the Year this year.
Congratulations,
Hmm?
Renee. I did not know that.
Well deserved.
Absolutely. I had not, is that new news?
It's
I've
on
known about
Facebook,
it,
though.
but it just came out, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She got to find someone to write about it. Yeah.
So do you have to, write a story on yourself there, or?
They're not gonna let me do that. But Dana has plenty of words to say about it. I don't know what it will be, but
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Thank you, Jamie. Is there a second? Thank you, Jason. A motion and a second for the consent agenda. All in favor? I'll abstain. And then our first action item, approval of the 2023-2024 budget revision number 4, year end.
Shelley's got some info to share.
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, I tried to make this a little bit easier. I made the columns a little bit different with budget revision 4. I added in budget adopted so you could see where we started the year. And then I added in the year-to-date column so you could see what we spent. So it kind of gives more of a full picture of the beginning and the end. And I didn't add the other budget revisions in there, but you can kind of see where we are. I added budget revision 4 in there, and then I also added last year's actuals just to kind of add it in for a little bit of reference. So it looks just a little bit different. The reason I felt like that was important is that I wanted you to see where things had changed, especially for this year to last year, because we were up a little bit year to date, and in both the revenues and the expenses compared to last year. As far as revenue goes, I just adjusted all the salaries to actual. We had some positions that changed throughout the year, some additions, so I just made everything that we'd spent the actual budget. And I did adjust the food service revenue slightly. There was a couple years with COVID where all the meals were free, and so we were getting more revenue than we normally would have. So we weren't really sure what was going to happen with this year's revenue, so that's why I pulled in that last year's money so you could kind of see we had budgeted a little bit high, so I wanted to make sure that that was clear. So actually it looks like budget revision 4 we had gone down in our revenues, but that's just kind of the cleanup process. On the expense side, I had, again, it's the salaries adjusting to the budget. And I kind of summarized that because if you look at budget revision 4, that column says we're up $1 million in expenses, and I didn't want that to be really shocking to you. So when you look at my summary, you've got a salary section, and then you've got the bond construction, and that $1 million is a huge portion of it is the bond. We were given the go-ahead to pay FSG, so we've paid them, and we thought we might go ahead and pay Navitas, which is that $630,000, and we decided to hold off on that. So that money's encumbered in 23-24, but that will roll over to 24-25 and be paid out of that file set. So that's really why it looks like it's so high. It's just that bond expense we thought we were going to do, and then we decided not to. So when you kind of look at that note that I have on the summary, if you look at the difference between the budget adopted and the year to date, it's a $4 million difference. that was kind of shocking as well, but you have to remember we did that bond defeasance of 3.5 million. So that's that huge chunk there. So I want you to kind of dig in and digest it. It's not as painful as it looks. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes,
And
thank you.
then, now that we have that closer, that year-end, the dollars, I did update, a separate link there is our year-end info. So last month we approved our full budget and I just didn't have some year-end dollars. So if you click on that, and we look at the overall budget starting on page 5, we have our year-end dollars. And so what we're looking at is, we're looking at ending the year, about 15% reserves. Reserves are our Fund 1 and Fund 2 balance. And so I updated the chart just to kind of show you where our reserves have been since 17-18 school year. And it's all over the place. In 2021, it was at 13% with COVID funds, in 21, 22, 22, 23. It spiked up to 21 and 19%. This year, we're looking at ending at 15%. So I think what it does tell us is we're kind of back to those pre-COVID numbers where we were at 17 and 13%. And it just tells us that, as our CSIP says, that our big push is probably gonna have to be looking at a levy financially. So it's where we're at with salaries. The majority of our budget drive is driven by Fund 1 and 2, which are our salaries. So at this time, I've got our bonding company and our financial advisement company looking at how we could restructure our tax levy in the future. Do we need to keep our debt service so high? Could we roll some of our debt service into Fund 1? Do we need a tax levy to put our people and ask for an increase in our levy? Can we do a combination of both? What best suits our district? Obviously, we're sitting well debt service. It's $1.87 is what our debt service levy is. We were just able to pay $3.5 million in cash on our debt. So that saves money in interest. And it also keeps us to where we can do more capital projects frequently, every 4 or 5 years. So really analyzing as a board is gonna be the challenge the next few months, analyzing how much of that debt service do we really need? Can we refinance some of that? Can we roll some of that to operations? Can we run a tax levy? What combination of all of those could we do? But ending the year with 15% reserves tells me when our goal is 20, and 20 is healthy, that it's starting to raise that concern of showing that need, that definite need. We haven't done anything crazy with funds. We've done some good things. We haven't done anything outlandish. We have added the para benefits, which was a huge need. For 2 years, for a year and a half now, we've been fully staffed with paras. Where before that was a big turnover, which wasn't successful for students, wasn't successful for staff. We gave a good non-certified salary increase in doing that last year. We had very little turnover in our custodial staff, which was fantastic. We have increased certified salaries healthily the last 2 years with right at $1,000, $1,100 to the base. We did add those frozen steps for our staff and retention efforts. We had a lot of staff who were frozen on our salary schedule somewhere, and we allowed those years of experience. Again, we're seeing more movement with the decrease of teachers in the field. We're seeing a lot more movement with veteran teachers, so we wanted to be able to hire them in at years of service, but we needed to honor and give our current staff all their years of service. So those are some things we've done with salaries, and salaries drives our budget. And so we're still behind. We are still below Odessa. We're still below Pleasant Hill, which are similar sized schools in our conference, and obviously we're below everybody in Jackson County. I'm not sure that we can ever compete there, but the things that we've done are things we've done I feel that are needed to keep the staff that we have, but we still have a ways to go. So I think it's going to be on this board to really determine can we do a balance transfer or levy transfer or a levy increase in the near future, for sure. And then and overall, and just to kind of give you an idea, as we're looking at increasing or decreasing the reserves, based on our budget, about every percent in the reserves is about $200,000 of cash. So
Do we know or when will we know the bond rate we'll get on the $13.5 million that we released?
it should be real soon. I mean, they sold those bonds, we're waiting on that. She sent last week.
Closing's Thursday.
Thursday, yeah,
Oh, wow.
it is this next week. So then we'll have that. And then we'll have those bond funds and we'll be able to reimburse ourselves for anything we've already spent bond. We'll start having that, that'll come in the next couple weeks.
Right. Well, definitely the salary, the things you've done were way overdue, and they definitely are needed, and we have to try to, we gotta try to be competitive. I mean, we have good staff, we wanna keep them. That's one of Carl Esslinger, I didn't finish, one of her sentences she shared is, one of her focuses is going to be how to recruit and retain teachers, our new DESE commissioner, so
Yeah.
we gotta do the same. Yeah.
Well, and as we're diving in and really looking hard at some things academically, you know, John Hattie's an educational researcher, and he'll say the number one effect on a student is the teacher, is that staff member and that educator. And so, our investment's going the right place. It needs to go more to the right place. We wanna have the best teachers and keep those that we have, and so we've gotta find ways to continue to be competitive based on where we live and what our logistics are competitive in their wages. And not just our teachers and everybody, all of our staff. So yeah, we're moving in the right direction, but as you said, I think we're playing catch up. I don't think we're moving ahead of where we need to be at all.
And worth mentioning that a proposed budget is a couple $1 million less than what it was in 2021, 2022.
Yeah, and that's really the money we'll really start analyzing is when we look at what we were spending 5 years ago, our revenues decreased and our expenditures are decreased too, but we're giving raises. We have less staff. We've through attrition reduced some positions. We have about 200 less students. So we're gonna see a little bit less revenue. And so we've reduced staff along the way to meet financial needs and meet the number of student needs that we have. But I think we're kind of at that threshold of not wanting to reduce without affecting programming. But yeah, that's a great point.
Any questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve 2023-2024 budget revision and year end?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Jamie. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jeff. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? That's everyone. Next on the agenda is the non-resident tuition rate for 24-25 school
So
year.
every August, we set the tuition rate. So this is if a family does not live in our district and our boundaries, but they want to send their student here, they always have the option to pay tuition. And tuition is set based on what the State Department says our ADA, our average daily attendance, is what is our cost to educate per student. So, and we're always approving that in a year's arrears. So last year, our tuition was $10,423, and this year it is $10,774. So DESE says that last year it cost $10,774 per student to educate at Oak Grove. So that's the recommended tuition rate. So I have one line in there, 24,
One
25.
question I've always had about this is we
Yeah.
calculate based on the cost, you know, what it costs to educate a student, right, based on those
Mhm.
numbers. But it doesn't factor in where that student sits in one of our seats, how much money we get from the state.
ADA.
Right, how much ADA money we get, which is how much?
Roughly, I mean, it fluctuates in a year, roughly about 6,000,
So our true cost is really 4,000.
if you want to look at it that way, yeah.
Right.
But usually they refer to it as per pupil expenditure,
Right?
and what basically, it's our entire budget divided by the number of kids we have, and that's how you get that per pupil expenditure.
Per pupil expenditure.
Right.
And there's been a couple laws written to try to help, like right now, when it was 2 years ago, I can't remember what bill it was, that if you've had 3 years of taxes that you've paid in district, maybe you don't lived here, over a certain threshold of $1, it would waive that tuition rate as well. But we only had one family qualify for it last year.
Yeah, how many kids actually pay tuition for a group right now?
Every once in a while we have one, not frequently. We didn't have any last year.
0.
Had one that qualified from the waiver. And I'm sure there's some that aren't
Should,
doing it
uh-huh,
correctly,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But
and that's
catching
my
those-
overall concern, is
yeah.
I think that there's probably, I mean, when you have a price tag like that, there's probably people working the system or going to school here that
Yeah,
maybe if it was, again, if that is, I'm just asking the question, if 10,000 is the estimated cost, but we get $7,000 or $6,000, then shouldn't the tuition
be the
be
difference.
the difference of that?
Yeah, and I can ask around, see
But
if
the
else,
other-
if
the
anybody
other
does
si-
that.
And I may be wrong, I'm just asking the
Yeah,
question.
because the other side is that is a person who's not living in our district, not paying
They
taxes
not
to our
paying
school
taxes
district,
then.
Sure.
are going to school here. And so,
Good point.
I mean, I'm personally, having been an administrator when we just set a flat fee, which wasn't close to our, not pointing fingers at anybody, but just that's what we did. And when I was a high school principal, we had as many as 4 kids paying tuition to go to school here. And it doesn't make sense that, because almost every school district uses their per pupil
Yeah.
expenditure. It just makes sense. It might be 17,000 at Lee Summit or 14,000 at Blue Springs or whatever, but it just makes sense to do that. Because those people, I mean, the last thing, in my opinion, I think the last thing we want to encourage, while Oak Grove is a great place, I understand everybody wants to come here, there's boundaries to move here. And there's benefits to living in the district too, so that's my take.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the non-resident tuition as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Is everyone? Next is 2024-2025 board meeting dates.
Yes, so usually we do this in July, but in July we discussed the possibility of moving those board meetings to Wednesdays for less conflict of school activities and student activities. So this is what that would look like. So, and after those discussions, looked at moving it up a week, so it came off of like that Thanksgiving, Christmas, Memorial Day, where we were moving dates. So this is what the third Wednesday of every month would look like if we approve this. I did the reorganization meeting in April. So first of all, March. The March meeting we have to move up because of spring break. The reorganizational meeting in August and April, we were 1 day shy. The third Wednesday is 1 day shy by law. We have to meet, reorganize by so many days. So we'd have to just hold just a reorganization meeting on the 9th and then meet the 23rd because that's busy hiring season if we remember. So being able to meet real quick for a reorganization and then the April 23rd isn't the third, but the third Wednesday, but with us reorganizing, I put a little gap in there. So it still is changing at least 2 full meetings and then adding that reorganization meeting.
Are the administration good with this?
Yes, I emailed everybody to make
Good,
sure that they were
good.
on board with it.
I saw a lot of head shaking when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
From last
Well,
time.
everybody's a parent, and so
Yeah.
a lot of them as parents are missing their kids' activities on those Mondays to
Sure.
try to be at the board meeting, so it seemed, overall, everybody was in favor of moving.
Well, I like it because it's, well, everything you said. And sometimes those Monday night things are big things. They're the Christmas concert, choir concert, the Christmas band concert, and we're over here.
Right.
No offense, but I like being over there too.
We might have a hard time getting the Minstrel Alliance before every meeting with Wednesdays, but, we'll still invite, and see what they can do.
And the paper doesn't have a problem with that? Does that conflict with your schedule? Okay.
Ruth Ann's like, I'll just watch it online.
There you go. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the changing of our board meeting to the third Wednesday of the month as a general rule.
Second?
I'll second.
Give it. Yeah. Okay, any other discussion, questions, comments? Okay. I have a motion and a second for the approval of the 2024-2025 board meeting dates, which includes moving standard board meetings to the third Wednesday of the month. All in favor? Is everyone? Next is student teaching compensation.
Yes. honestly never thought this would come up in my career, but here we are. I think I shared with you, but I'll reiterate just in case I hadn't, that this kind of just landed in my lap by chance last spring. Springfield University, Missouri State in Springfield emailed me and asked what as a district we did as far as any incentive or stipend or pay for student teachers, hosting student teachers. And I said, I played dumb and I was like, will you share with me what everybody else does? So she sent this huge spreadsheet, and it was a variety of everything. And it seems to be, then talking with UCM, and they're working on some things. Seems to be, I was surprised I didn't know other schools were doing things. So in analyzing that spreadsheet and what we could do, some were paying mileage, some were doing stipends, some were doing a variety of sub-pay, or it looked different every school. This is kind of what we came up with, Carrie and I in HR, and trying to decide what we felt would entice student teachers to come to Oak Grove and student teach, fall in love with Oak Grove so we could hire them. So what this would be is a student teacher signs on and starts with us, that we would give them a $5,000 stipend paid out once a month, so $1,000 a month while they're student teaching, whether it's fall or spring. If they sign a contract with us while they're student teaching, we would give $1,000 sign-on bonus. But then also felt like we needed to compensate our teachers. When you take on a student teacher, it's a lot of work. You put a lot of time in, you're mentoring them. So putting $1,000 stipend for a teacher. And we do have the career ladder, but a lot of what they're doing is during the day with them, a lot of extra during the day. So $1,000 stipend for anybody who's signed a student teacher, which is generally our better teachers in those concentration areas. So this is kind of my recommendation for the year. I did speak with Superintendent Advisory Committee about it, and that we were looking at trying to do that. All recruitment efforts trying to get some student teachers. I know we have 2 this upcoming year, but we hope that maybe the more the word gets out, more will be willing to come to Oak Grove to student teach.
Is that typical for a year too? I mean, where we at? I'm sure it fluctuates, but.
No, we've had years we haven't had any. This past year we had 1. We are growing because they have to, throughout their program, they do different things. They have to do at first just a few hour observation, and then they have to do a several day observation. And we've got several of those in the works, so that's even good too. We hope that they come, and then we can say, hey, if you come back and student teach, we can give you a stipend and we can pay you. So we've got several of those who are a year out from student teaching that are gonna be in our buildings this next year.
Maybe it sounds silly, but since it's college-based, is it legal to do this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it is been there, done that, and I know talking to young student teachers that we had while I was principal in various roles, it's a struggle. I mean, because if you're working, there's no time to work. I mean, so you have no source of income during that student teaching time. You're burning money, obviously, because of your rent and gas and whatever. It's financial
Tuition.
hardship. I never ever thought we would get to this point either, but the other side of that is, because there are fewer people becoming teachers, there are obviously fewer student teachers, and I think it just goes back to recruit. It's about recruitment.
What does our recruitment look like now? In other words, see, some years we don't have any. Do we have programs we work with UCM? Or,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So we work with every university, and we share with them when we have a position open. They also host and hold career fairs, job fairs at their locations. We haven't gone the last couple of years. We're going to. And Carrie's even talked about hosting our own job fair this fall, late in the year, late in first semester, trying to recruit in different people, different positions, and have a chance for them to come on campus and see our school and do. Or she's even talked about inviting some conference schools to do a bigger kind of career fair here, but not at UCM where it's hundreds of schools there. Because what those job fairs are like, and you walk in and some schools have, huge displays of who they are, and they're just, it's a battle of people. So that's the biggest thing we do. But the best thing is once they're in your building and you like them, you get a hold of them before they even go and apply anywhere else. I think getting them right when they get in the door is the best.
I love that. I think of it as like Moneyball and building an organization,
Yeah.
finding that niche where we could hold on to somebody, and we have we have few individuals throwing for every open position, so
Yeah.
I really like the idea of the $1,000 signing on bonus, but is that something where we could consider getting more aggressive, so
Sure.
we make it the place? And I've gotta imagine somebody who's spending their first 5 years are less likely to leave, going in education, they don't have enough experience built up, so maybe we can get the best candidates coming out of school
Oh,
and keep them. Maybe that's how we beat the other Jackson
think-
County schools.
yeah, I think we can analyze it, yearly and seeing, I mean, one of the big things that we saw, so we added last month the liquidating damages and to contracts, but yet a lot of school districts are saying, I really want you, I'll pay it for you.
Well,
Yeah.
how much
So
is
it's
it?
just
We'll pay it.
school districts trading money. I'll take your money, you take mine, I'll take your person, you take mine, and that's really what it's come down to, because when it comes to hiring, and I need a teacher, and this is one that's willing to come here, if I'll pay to get out of their contract, I'm gonna pay it. So it really has kind of lost its effect, so to speak, a little bit, and because people are willing to ask the school district they're going to pay for it, but I'm hoping that this, before other schools catch on to doing this, that we'll just.
So are we ahead of the
Ahead of the
curve
game.
on this a little bit, you think?
From here to Warrensburg, yes.
Okay, well, good.
Lee Summit, North Kansas City, Grandview, Liberty, all had some sort of a student teacher on Missouri States, but nobody for between here and Warrensburg. That's kind of what I'm pulling for.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve that.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Randy. Any other questions or comments?
I think it helps promote the profession as well.
You know, and if we're hiring, I mean, we've hired some good teachers last year, try to get these retirees back. God love them, but they're
I know, it's
expensive.
killing our budget.
They're expensive,
Yeah.
you know, so this is a way to all,
I mean, it's great when you you can get in just strong, veteran, experienced teachers. It's phenomenal. We're glad to have them.
Yeah,
But it's a hit to the budget, especially when several of those teachers that left were just in their third through fifth year.
yeah.
And what if we add to it also for, it's a teacher, but you also get a bump if you're wanting to be a coach
coach.
or,
Yeah.
go above and beyond.
Could even do that. We can even do that,
Yeah.
especially as we get into.
But it's a
yeah.
good place to start.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
I
we
think
start
so.
here, like you said.
Exactly.
And analyze that.
Maybe bring some t-shirts we can wear to UCM games, say Oak Grove Pacer student teachers.
That's fantastic. We'll take one of our new vans, we'll drive a bunch of students down to a UCM game and have them all wear a shirt like that.
Oak
That's a
Grove Pacer
billboard.
student teachers.
I love it. Are you taking all these notes, Eric? Yeah.
He's on it. Awesome. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the student teaching compensation as presented. All in favor? That's everyone. Next is the policy update on staff leave.
Again, so I brought this to you last month. There was an error in it. We want to be able, the policy last month, just for unused vacation time, said none will roll over. We do want that to roll over, especially with our custodial staff. We don't want them just burning 3 days, just to burn 3 days because they're gonna lose them. So we do want those vacation days to roll over to make PDO days. And so that's the only change is adding that for professional staff and support staff.
Questions or comments?
My only thing is documentation. Make sure we keep good records. To avoid a circumstance that happened previously.
Hey, do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Randy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jamie? A motion and a second for the approval of the policy update on staff leave as presented. Randy, all in favor? That's everyone. We have some discussion items. Policy update, first reading.
Yep, MSBA's come out with their 2024 B policy updates, so generally we do 3 readings on these anytime. Usually MSBA comes out 2 or 3 times a year with a bulk of policy updates, so we're in no rush. First one is just to put it in your eyes, put it in my eyes. Second one, I'll kind of create just a little bit of an overview for you. Third time you see it, we'll vote on it or share any concerns. So this is just to place it in front of you. Very easy.
Next is activities handbook.
Yes, and I told, principals are out this month, so, and Coach Stark's really not supposed to have started yet. So I told them not to worry about coming, but we did make change after our discussions last month. I'm trying to find it here, on the eligibility standards. So after our meeting, Last month, we went back, we revamped, we looked, we talked to some other schools, we had a couple of different meetings, and we felt like we wanted to follow what MISHA does. And MISHA does allow 1 credit in the summer, 1 credit of a core class in the summer to count towards eligibility. And so the changes and the highlights just come out of MISHA's handbook, just to kind of outline exactly what that is on that law 2.3.4.b. And so, just outlines for students, and then Mr. Sharks will share that with parents. He's having a fall parent meeting, so he'll help explain that too.
I really appreciate you guys doing that. I think that's a great gesture for our kids that are trying to get back on track.
Yep, great.
Next, review of our school board norms.
Yep, so every August, we look over board norms, and then I've also got some goals to talk about this year. So the top of every agenda, my first year we developed as a board, we developed these norms. We did a work session, we had Emily come in, Omaha Durham Ed Council, she went over some just board policies, procedures, and then we developed these norms. So I don't think we made any changes last year. So if anybody sees anything that they think is either outdated or something that we need to add, this would be the time to amend those for the next year.
I found the lady from Ed Council that was a good time well spent.
We can have her come back. She's coming next Friday, our admin retreat kickoff. Usually we send our administrators to an all-day law seminar with one of the legal counsels. Instead, it's the same amount of money just to bring her here. So we get her to ourselves for 2 hours. She talks about hot law topics, and then we can ask specific questions, especially regarding, some discipline, students with disabilities, discipline. Hot topic is always residency, parent custodial issues.
Right.
So we can really talk about. But if we feel like as a board we want to have her come back, she's just a good. Well, she's a lawyer, but she's a former school board member herself. So I think that's what makes her unique.
Yeah. Does Mika still do the free one
Mhm.
at Bush Springs?
Yep. Yeah, they do.
No administrative updates, correct?
And then, no, the only other thing that I had, if there's no changes to those norms, is the goals for the year. So essentially, when staff come back, my theme for the year is believe. And it's gonna tie in with the Ted Lasso believe, which is just good in people, good intentions, seeing the best and really coaching each other, everybody to be better, but in a good, positive way. So with that, in my mind, I have a few goals, and we kind of discussed a little bit during work session about what those goals may be, and I want to make sure that I captured it correctly, because when I meet with staff, I want them to know that as a board, this is what we believe for the year, which kind of encompasses our goals. So the board and central office believe that attendance is important for students and staff. We believe in having an academic focus to support all of our decisions in order to provide programming for students to be successful. We believe in relationships, strong relationships, students, staff, family, and community makes a difference in students. And then we believe in finding financial resources to be competitive in staff pay. So I think that those all outline specifically what is in our CSIP and what we've talked about over leading into this next year. I know we're also have a big push. Dr. McLean has a big push with Nicole Henderson and our admin team on our MTSS and RTI process, which is interventions for students, programming to make sure we're meeting all of our kids' needs academically. And we've kind of joked, but post COVID, our focus has been so much on morale, and it's been on trauma, mental health, behaviors. And this year, we really, as an admin team, want to have that academic focus, bringing some of that into board meetings as well, and really sharing what we're doing, why we're doing, and really just doubling down on that academic improvement and academic programming for all students. So those are kind of our, in a nutshell, goals for the year. If everybody's good with that.
Should be the 21st,
The third.
third week, the 21st. Third Wednesday.
Where did we come up with that at?
Okay.
Randy, what was the, I messed that all up completely,
I
didn't
think
I?
you said it was like, that would have, I can't remember.
Wednesday the 21st.
I don't know what I was looking at.
It was the 15th.
And Brandy had emailed me about the board meeting date for August. And I told him I was wrong, I erred, but I wasn't wrong, I was
What I
right.
was asking Mindy was, it was printed wrong on here, it's August 15th, the next board meeting date.
Yeah, it's not a
Due to our
Thursday.
changes, it's actually August 21st, just an error on my copy, so,
No, it's an error on the agenda.
on the agenda too, so.
No, the agenda's right now.
Yeah.
Never mind,
That's
right on the next meeting date
I confused myself.
will be August 21st, 7 PM as usual for open session, so.
Correct.
Awesome. Seeing nothing else on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Thanks, Jamie.
That was correct.
Second.
Where was it?
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you everyone for being here.
Short and sweet.
Enjoy what's left of your summer.
It's, yeah.
Be almost